Hi class, based on questions I had today at our regular Zoom session, I wanted to give a video for everyone a little bit more about how to do in-text citations and how to complete assignment 12 and get ready to do your presentation, which will be due on Monday. So here's the assignment for assignment 12. There were some videos to watch, one video about how to create videos like I'm doing now, and another video about how to create PowerPoint or Google Slides. And so then we get down to the actual assignment. And the actual assignment asks you to just find 3 different quotes or paraphrases from your different sources that you've read that you think you will be able to use in your presentation. So if you're not familiar with how to do in-text citations, then the first thing I would do is go to this video, which I think is a really good resource on how to do MLA in-text citations. Okay, and then the next thing you do is just look in your article and find different quotes. So I've gone ahead and done this. So the first quote I found is about how big the problem is. I was doing students with ADHD. And so I've paraphrased this. You can tell that I've paraphrased it because there are no quotation marks, right? So they had a statistic about 6% of college students had ADHD. And that's from an article that doesn't have an author. And so I've used an abbreviated version of the title in parentheses instead of the author. For the second one, I used what's called a signal phrase, right? I put the author's name here in the signal phrase according to Russell A. Barkley. And so therefore, I don't need to have anything in parentheses. I've already given the author's name in that signal phrase. And then my last, the next quote here is also from that same article that doesn't have a title. This time it's a direct quote right here. And so again, MLA style says to do a parenthetical citation afterwards, and since there is no author, then I use the abbreviated version of the title. If you're using an author's name, and I actually didn't do that for either of these, let's say I didn't have the author's name here, I didn't have this here, then I would just take the author's name, put it in quotation mark, or put it in parentheses, sorry, after the author's name. Period. Done. The period wouldn't go here. All right, so that's the 2 different ways you can do it. You can either use the signal phrase or put the author's name afterwards. If you don't have the author's name, then you can use an abbreviated version of the title. You could also say in the article, research shows blah, 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 whatever that whole title is, and then give your information, and then you wouldn't need to put anything in parentheses if you have the title. Now, I did a bonus one here. You only have to do 3, but I put this bonus one in here to show you a different kind of situation than we've talked about before. And this is if you're using a quote that's within an article. All right, so if I go back to this, let me bring up my article. All right, here is my article. And this article was all about a study done by George DePaul. And so here's the quote that I want to use. College students with ADHD are likely to experience significant academic difficulties, ... Okay, so I want to use that quote, and that's from DePaul, right? And it's already quoted in this article, right? And so the author of this article, Asian News International, maybe they interviewed DePaul and talked to him, and so they got this information direct from him. And so I want to quote this information, but again, DePaul is not the author of my article. So how do I do that? Back to my Word document. So I'm giving a signal phrase where I say who DePaul is, because as the person writing this paper or doing this presentation, if I can put kind of a important researcher's name down like this, then that shows that I did really good research, right? So I've used his whole title here. He's a professor of the School of Psychology and associate dean at Lehigh University's College of Education, and they conducted a study on students with ADHD. And so now I'm getting to my quote. They found that, and now here is the quote. This is what DePaul actually said. Okay. So how do I cite that? If I want, think about your reader. The reader wants to be able to find that quote. If I just put DePaul, they'll look at my works cited page and they won't find anything written by DePaul. Okay, so we need to put the actual either author or title of the article so that they can find where this quote was. So this was in the article that got the title of research, the one without an author. So I put this in my parentheses, quoted in, and then that article research. Now the reader would go right to my works cited page. They would know that that quote from DePaul was in the article that was titled research. Let's see how this all looks. If I go back to my slide, let's see how this all looks in my presentation. Okay, here's that quote from research. I actually have an additional quote from Quinn cited in MLA style. Here's another quote from that article that begins with research. And here is a quote by Barclay. All of these will correspond to my works cited page, right? So when I see Barclay and MLA in the in-text citation, I know that I can come here and find this article. When I see the word research, then I know that it would be from this article from Asian News International. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't confuse you more. It gives you a little bit more information about what this assignment should look like and a little bit more about in-text citations. Thanks for watching.